Welcome to Botanical Trails Through the Juniper Forest. I'm your host, Brian Heater. Each week, I'll have a different guest join me to explore a pair of interesting gins. We'll chat a little bit about the gin and the distilleries, throw in a bit of trivia, hopefully laugh a bit, and then we'll go off the beaten path. Although I say that this is a podcast about gin, really this is just an excuse for me to spend time with my friends. But that'll just be our secret. Okay, let's start exploring. All right, my guest today is my cousin, Todd Heater. Todd, thank you very much for joining us.
I'm excited to be here. This is fun.
Well,
We've been talking about it for a while.
I know. So it is sort of serendipitous how this worked out, and I am super excited because you had texted me like in the fall or right around the holidays where you're like, I've got this gin, and I'm like, oh, great, we'll try it. And then when I took a look at the bottle in the picture, I'm like, oh, that's a Detroit gin. And I'm like, oh, I know another Detroit gin we could do. And so we matched those up. And then when we picked a date, this won't be out, but we are recording this the night before the draft, which is going to be tomorrow in Detroit.
Heck yeah. Yeah, it's good.
NFL for the Lions. And so I am super excited to try this gin and talk a little Lions football and stuff.
I love it. All right.
Well, let's give this gin a try. So our first gin is from a distillery in Detroit. It is called Valentine Liberator Gin. It is their Old Tom style. So give that a try. Cheers.
Cheers.
That's not too shabby. It's a little sweet.
Yeah, it is.
So, which makes sense for being an Old Tom. So, real quick, in terms of the gin and the distillery. So, the Liberator Gin, it is named after the B-24 Liberator bomber from World War II. So,
Interesting.
Ford Motor Company built their Willow Run plant to initially build the B-24. So they just turned, all those automotive suppliers turned their stuff into just cranking out stuff for the war back in World War II.
Yeah.
So that's how Detroit got the nickname of the Arsenal of Democracy. So, so the gin we're trying is the Old Tom version of their original Liberator gin, which has 9 botanicals in it. And then what they do is they take that original gin and then they age it for 2 years in American oak barrels. And when they started doing this in 2014, it was named the world's best cask gin by the World Gin Awards that year. So
Is that like legit?
Yes, but there's a bunch of these like different types of awards.
Yeah,
like
sure.
All places have them, but still, I mean,
That's pretty cool.
So many gins out nowadays that's still
Yeah.
an impressive feat. So originally, I was going to try to jazz it up a little bit, make kind of a fancy cocktail, but I could just not find like an easy recipe that I was going to make. So I just made kind of a gin and tonic, but I've never made a gin and tonic with an Old Tom gin. So we just took their gin and I mixed it with the Fever Tree, their Light Indian Premium Tonic, which I read was a good tonic to use with it, and then just a little bit of lime juice in there. So, and I think it's pretty good. What does surprise me is this being an Old Tom gin, they didn't add anything else to make it sweeter like Old Toms normally are. So they just age it in that cask for 2 years, and it sounds like
Bottle it right up.
that gives it, a little bit of that sweetness. So, in terms of the distillery, Valentine Distillery, it was founded in 2007, and at that time, it was one of like 15 to 20 small batch micro distilleries in the U.S. So, now there are more than like 2,000 based across the country, at least.
It.
So,
yeah.
they're based in Ferndale, Michigan. They make 3 different types of vodka, 5 whiskeys, and then the 2 gins. Their Liberator gin and then their Old Tom version. So, and I read just an interesting quote. The founder, he said, "I've always appreciated the American craftsman working by hand, making one-of-a-kind items that stand the test of time. We take great pride in using old world techniques, techniques that haven't changed in centuries. There are no computers controlling the stills, just our sense of taste and smell to determine the cuts." So anyhow, I thought that was pretty cool. And so that is our first gin.
I can't imagine there's a lot of distilleries. I mean, I'm sure some are running that way, but that are like, we're not putting any precision into this. We're just going to use taste buds and our scent and our senses.
But they seem to be dialed in. And then now you've tried a couple of their other things, right? You were just telling me you ended up with this gin because you bought like a couple of things.
Correct.
Gin,
I'm more of a bourbon drinker myself, and they have, I think it's Mayor Pingree is the name of the bourbon, and there was a 6-year or something, and this would have been a couple years ago. So this has been sitting on my my liquor mantle for a couple years, but doesn't go bad. So
no.
So I've had those. In fact, I still have some of the bourbon that I had from that pack left as well. But yeah, and it ended up being like a holiday or something, some sort of value. Like they wanted you to buy 4 different things. So gin, I got a vodka and a couple bourbons.
And this gin, like if you just saw the bottle, if you didn't, you would think that this could be a whiskey. It's a really darker color. It's not caramel. Clear like a
which surprised me when I got it, because I bought that package for the bourbon, and they said, "Oh, the vodka's really good too," and I gave that to somebody and blah 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 whatever, and I didn't realize. I didn't know it was a gin because I'd never seen a dark gin before.
Yeah.
And I'm not a gin drinker, so
sure.
I mean, typically I do with you on the holidays.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No. It's got us. I'll be interested when we try it after the break, when we try it straight to see if it is that sweet or if the tonic is giving it just a little bit of sweetness. But
sure.
This turned out. I didn't know how this would turn out. I can't say all barrel finished gins I always enjoy. Although one of my favorite gin and tonics is also from a barrel finished gin, which is here in town, Eastern Kill. They're the one that they serve just at their place. Is great. So some I like, but some are like okay. But this one is there's a nice like sweetness to it. So
it does taste. You can I don't have a gin and tonic very often, like I said, but I can. There is something different about this that I can't. I mean, you would know it's a little sweeter, I guess. So yeah.
So all right. So we have the draft tomorrow. So a couple things we need to cover in terms of lines. First of all, I'm so excited to talk football because I think for the 4 people who typically listen to this podcast, I think they would think I'm a big soccer fan, and I do like soccer, but like I love football.
Sure,
football is my favorite sport, and I would have to say probably over the last 3 to 4 years, the NFL has surpassed college football in terms of my enjoyment. I finally think I enjoy NFL football better than college and more and fun to watch.
I'm so excited.
And they had the best season they had since I was a senior in college this past year. Mm-hmm. So it is exciting. So 2 things I want to cover. One, they came out with new uniforms last week. I want to get your opinions on that.
Yeah.
And also, tomorrow's the draft. And what do you want them to do, and what do you think they'll do? So which would you like to cover first?
Well, we get the uniforms out of the way first. I think they're first blush. I think they're fantastic. I love the alternate jersey, the dark one with the blue helmet. I think that's pretty freaking sweet.
The new black jersey one?
Yeah, and then they have the helmet is blue or is it black?
No, they have 2 versions.
Oh, okay.
There's a blue version with like a black line.
Yes, that. Yes.
And then there's a black version with, I don't remember off the top of my head if it's a blue lion or like the silver lion.
They didn't. I mean, the standard jerseys didn't change a ton.
No, I thought they simplified them a little bit.
Yeah, I think I was
and
just
going
to say
the same thing. A little. I mean, it's similar, but it almost pops a bit more.
Yeah, the numbers look like they're a little bit thicker, and I don't know. I think they look great.
Yeah, I really like that. I'm glad that they stuck with the white jersey with the white pants for away.
Uh-huh.
I was sort of bummed, though, that the other away is the white jersey and the blue pants.
Yeah.
Because what I like is the old, white jersey and, they're silver, on the road. That's just an old classic look. And I am a huge fan of, they still have the throwbacks to the 50s, which just, the plain helmet, just the tall socks and super plain jerseys. But I love that uniform.
That's the jersey. That old school jersey is one I had of Calvin Johnson's that I still have. Nice. It's old and pretty tattered, but yeah, it's cool.
That is my favorite uniform, probably of all time. I love that uniform. So
sure,
I will say I'm not a huge fan of the black jerseys, but they're almost an improvement because I did not like that gray on gray look. What
I think
color
I was
rush or whatever.
Yeah, I was in the minority on that, where I think everybody I talked to was like, the gray is, and I kind of liked it.
So I thought what they did.
But it's funny because everybody I thought I'm clearly in the minority on the gray jerseys because one, they got rid of them, and two, everybody I talked to was like, they're not horrible, but they're not good.
What they did last year, though, they made a slight tweak, is they had that like alternate helmet. Right. Which had this old logo that I'm wearing on the sweatshirt.
Yes.
And they had that old logo, and it was kind of like almost like a matte helmet.
the blue one. Yeah.
I thought that helmet actually complemented that jersey okay.
Yeah.
Better than just wearing like the normal helmet. So, but they went away from it. But I do sort of like that new blue helmet with the black. I mean, it'd be interesting to see. And then it looks like they also have two versions where they have like black pants or blue pants.
Yeah, I think so. And then, it's funny because people are like, well, they're going away from that. I'm like, they're so smart. Lions are the hot thing right now. So from the business perspective, you come out with new jerseys, everybody's going to want them. So jersey sales are going to go crazy. Even though they were, but now everybody needs the new one. Well, then in a couple years, they'll change one, tweak. They won't tweak them completely like they did, but they'll do another alternate jersey and just keep going.
I think they get to like tweak jerseys every 3 to 4 years or something like that. So I like Houston has new ones coming out. Denver, who looks like a college team now, they're not great. So it's sort of interesting. So my last question for you on the uniforms is, out of all the options they have, what would you say your favorite that they could come out and wear?
Oh, man. I don't know if I've seen all the combinations, honestly. I just saw the quick ones. I do like just the blue. Like, the blue ones just pop nice. You know what I mean?
Like their traditional Honolulu blue with the silver
Honolulu
pants?
with the white numbers. Yep. I think that those ones I'm good with. They could go with the matching blue pants, too, and it might be a little bright, because it did look like, to me, the Honolulu blue might have got a little bit brighter.
Yeah, I feel like they just tweaked it a bit somehow. But they were wearing those. They called them the blueberries at the end of last year because they kept winning in them.
Yeah.
So
I don't necessarily have a favorite, and I don't think I've seen every combination. I didn't go out of my way.
They have a website. I'll send you the thing.
Yeah, so absolutely.
Because as soon as they showed the uniforms, like, I didn't see the alternate throwbacks. Yeah, and thought I might throw up. Yeah. But then I went on there and they were on there. They're on there. It's just kind of like their Thanksgiving one that they wear. But man, I love that uniform. So, all right.
I like the simple too.
Yeah. So the draft is tomorrow. Are you going down to Detroit, or are you just staying home to watch?
We'll stay home. I've got golf league tomorrow, and then I think I'm going to go over to my brother's and we'll watch and see. I mean, they're not going to be picking right at the beginning like every other year. What if he trades
out?
You know what I mean? Like,
he could trade out at the end of the run.
Yeah, we went exactly. So I mean, they're not going to be picking till what? What time? It starts at 8. They won't be picking till
the very
10
end.
o'clock.
They're 29th, so they're one of the last 4 teams to pick. Right. So, So what would you like to see them do?
I mean, it depends. I think they can go a lot of different directions. The last few years, it seems like we need another pass rusher. I think that would help free up Aiden Hutchinson a lot, because he's just getting double teamed. But even an interior guy, but we did pick up Reader, so I don't know. I would say edge if a guy's there, but I know this draft class isn't super deep on edge rushers, so you might have to have a guy slip. Otherwise, corner. I'm good with a corner. I'm good with if the right wide receiver is there. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but I do think we need another weapon there.
Yeah.
But I could also see them just going, this offensive lineman fits us. Let's go.
Actually, I would be comfortable with that too, just because their O-line's great, but like 3 of their 4 starter, or 3 of the 5 or 4 of the 5 are over 30. Yeah. Like, they just need to start getting some younger depth back on the line.
And Decker I was upset in the middle of the season. I thought he was horrible. Didn't realize he was actually playing like hurt and injured.
Yep.
And then when he got healthy and they all said he's healthy, he played well. So I'm back on like, all right, he's solid, but he is one of the older guys. I think he might be the oldest guy on the team. One of them. He's up there.
Yeah, I mean, he's been with that team.
And he's not that old, but he's so but I think you got to start thinking about possibly replacing a guy who started in the league for 8 or 10 years. So
yeah, need an heir apparent maybe. So, but we'll see. And then you gave me the good news. They extended a couple of their good young players.
Yeah,
so we're set with those guys.
And Penny Sewell, that's huge.
That's awesome.
Those are rocks. Those are cornerstones. So.
Do you think they'll extend Goff then too?
I think they will.
Yeah, me too.
I think he does.
I mean, why wouldn't you?
With how he got run out of and what all the stuff that was talked about him, and for him to do what he's doing, I don't think there's anywhere else he wants to play.
No,
so I think he'll do whatever it takes. I mean, he should get paid.
Oh, for sure.
He'll do what it takes to structure it. I think to keep them, being able to bring guys in and all that good stuff. And they invested in two of his weapons.
Yes.
So I think
why wouldn't you?
Yeah. And he's only 28 or something like that, or 29.
Correct.
Maybe?
Yeah. He's like 10 years younger than Stafford. So yeah. Yep. No. Yeah. I'll be interested to see what they do, and then I cannot wait for next season. Now you guys don't have season tickets anymore or anything, right?
No.
But you guys went to the Bears game last year.
We did. We went down there. My sister organized a whole thing. We went and tailgated, and we were in the nosebleeds, but the seats were actually pretty good. We had a riot, our whole family, and then obviously that game was wild.
Oh, that game was bonkers.
Yeah. It was. We were going nuts. Had no voice after the game. It was fun.
Yeah.
So we'll do that again this year.
No, that's fun. And Ford Field's a fun place to go.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
it's great. Yeah.
So real quick, last thing on the football theme before we'll move on to the first round of trivia. But was it ever odd for you growing up with you're older, but a younger brother who, as he grew up, started to sort of from a distance resemble Aaron Rodgers to some people, and then have a dad that also sort of resembled John Elway to some people?
Yeah, that's kind of weird. My dad, if John Elway was in his helmet, you could see it. If he took his helmet off, it was like that was gone. But and my dad loved John Elway was his favorite player growing up too. So it was kind of weird, but. And the other thing with my brother is being a State Farm agent. You know what I mean? It's kind of funny because Aaron Rodgers was a spokesperson for State Farm for so long with the discount double check stuff. So I was always lobbying for him to hey, send your picture into your marketing people and get on a commercial, dude.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, you can be
they miss that. They miss that.
Yeah, I'm you can be his little brother because you're way smaller than he is, but that's all right. You know, so yeah, it's pretty funny. He does resemble him a little bit. So. Yeah,
because your dad is my dad's brother, and then then there's the younger brother, our Uncle Dan.
Yeah. And
my dad and Uncle Dan sort of look alike a little bit, but Jim didn't look like them at all.
No.
So.
No, and you could tell Ann.
Yep.
And my dad, they look like brother and sister.
Yes.
But yeah.
And Ann and Jan look like sisters.
Yeah.
But Mary didn't look exactly like them. So, yeah.
It's weird how that works.
Yeah, it's just kind of funny.
Because my brother and I get, that we look alike quite often. But if you're standing side by side, you probably are like, no way. Right?
Oh, but you mean people who maybe don't see you guys that often think there's no doubt you two are brothers. Yeah. You guys totally resemble each other. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
No doubt.
But,
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt about that at all.
Yeah, my sisters kind of look a little bit alike, but I don't look like either one of my sisters, so it's kind of weird. Yeah,
it's the same with me. I sort of look like my dad. Lori sort of looks like Mom. We call her Mini Mom.
And she does. That's true.
And then Amy is sort of like a hybrid.
Yeah.
Between the two.
That fits her, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
That's great.
So, yeah. All right. Well, we decided that for Gin Trivia, you would go first. This is also a bit of a bittersweet episode because this will be the end of Gin Trivia. We're down to the last 2 questions, so you and I will finish it off, and we'll move in future episodes. One of my other guests, Brian Place, has gotten. I'll double check. I think it's cocktail trivia, and so that's what we'll do.
Got it.
So this is. Oh yeah. All right. I'm really sorry about this one. So.
I don't think I was going to get the answer right anyway.
No, but I don't know who would know this unless... I don't know who would know that. Okay. Anyhow. Question is, what island, famed for its tweed... So if you wear a lot of tweed, you might actually get this. What island, famed for its tweed, produces a gin infused with sugar kelp?
Oh my famous for its tweed?
Yeah, so an island famed for its tweed. Now, I haven't seen you in a lot of tweed, but I don't hang out with you a lot, so I'm not sure if you have some
No,
in the
I don't
closet
think I
that
do.
I'm unaware of.
Gosh. I don't even know. I mean, I'm just going to say Jamaica.
Wow. Well, no, that would be rum. That would have been good. No, I would have had no idea on this one either. Isle of Harris.
Oh. Yeah.
And it's produced by Harris Distillery.
But
I have
where
never
is
heard
that?
of them.
Isle of Harris.
We'll look it up, but if I had to guess, I would say it is up near Scotland, maybe.
Okay.
But that is a complete guess on my part. But I bet it's around the UK somewhere.
Okay.
Because they were always known for wearing tweed. So someone
Okay.
up there is making a bunch of it. So.
All
right. Well, we will take a quick break and get the second round ready.
Sweet.
All right. We are back. So we're going to start off by trying sippers of the Liberator Old Tom. So cheers. So just, you don't have to shoot, just kind of take a sip and see what you think.
It's sweet.
Yeah, at the end, you kind of catch that sweetness. So.
Yeah.
So now in this one and the next one we do is what I do is I put just a few drops of water in it. It's allegedly it helps to like unlock the botanicals.
Sure.
But you were saying you prefer, what was it, bourbon or whiskey or
bourbon? Yeah.
You drink it straight, or do you ever put like a little bit of water in it, or like on the rocks?
I prefer it on the rocks. They say you're supposed to drink it neat.
Okay, but I prefer it on the rocks.
I prefer it on the rocks. Yeah. So either a big cube or whatever. And
now, do you notice as you're drinking it, like,
yep,
the profile will just change a little bit?
As it gets a little watery, it's
yeah,
definitely,
so,
definitely. It's but yeah, that's what I mean. I definitely prefer it. Like I can drink it neat. And I have a buddy that loves, like, he only drinks it neat.
Okay.
And I like the coldness, I guess.
Me too. No, I'm the same way.
Like
I'm the same way.
Yeah, I can't get there.
I want it on the rocks. Like, to me, it has to be.
I can't get there.
I don't like room temperature beverages. I either want it cold or like I want it like hot, like a coffee or a latte or something.
Yes.
But I want it cold. Like, I don't want a room temperature.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you there. And the ice, I did a thing where I smoked ice, actually.
Wait, you what?
I smoked. So I took a tray. I have one of those pellet smokers, and I took a tray of ice, like in a baking tray.
Okay.
Filled it with ice, put it in the smoker on smoke, so 120 degrees. Within an hour or whatever, it was melted. Then I took that water and poured it into like the big cube forms.
Oh, okay.
And froze it, and it's smoky. One, to the scent, and two, as it melts. So you take those cubes. I haven't done this in a couple years, but put those cubes in it, put a bourbon on it, and it's amazing.
So when you put it in the smoker, was it ice already, or you just like filled up ice cube trays with water and smoked it?
I smoked ice.
Okay, so you put ice in there.
I read that.
Okay.
I read that the reason you'd start with ice rather than just starting with water is that the smoke is attracted to the cold. So it as it melts, it infuses it a little more.
Sure.
Have no idea if that's true or not, but that's the way I did it.
Okay. And then when it freezes back, with it having been smoked, is the ice like clear again, or is there almost like a little?
There's probably a little tint to it, but it's not.
But not much. It looks like normal ice or whatever.
But But the cool thing is you smell it. So you can smell it right away.
And
so that gives you a sensory
thing.
And then as it melts, like we were just talking about, it gives it a smoky flavor. So
I've been to some places, like tasting rooms where they do cocktails and stuff, and I've seen where they will also, like, they put this little contraption over a cocktail glass and they, like, smoke it, like, right in front of you. You have that?
Yeah, my sister got me one for Christmas.
Oh, nice.
It's a little cork thing. And,
yeah.
And it comes with different wood chips, and you take a butane lighter and it smokes the...
And do you really notice a difference when you do that?
Yeah, it's smoky.
Okay. Yeah,
you do an old-fashioned that way. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's interesting.
All right.
I definitely prefer it on the rocks, but still.
No, I'm the same. Okay. Our next gin is Railroad Gin. It is from Detroit City Distillery, but we'll try the little taster to start.
Sure.
So give that a little taste.
It smells different.
Mm-hmm. This will be more kind of ginny, although it's not, to me, super juniper forward, but it definitely tastes like gin.
Yeah, you can taste it. I mean, you
but
can
it doesn't
taste
like burn going down. It's
smooth.
Rather smooth.
Yeah, it's smooth, but you can taste the, people who say, "Oh, gin tastes like pine trees," or
yeah,
right? You can taste that in this. I think you can taste it in this more than you can taste it in the other one.
No, for sure. This is more like a London style gin. So Railroad Gin, it's a London style gin. 7 botanicals. The most interesting one I saw was Star Anise. I don't even know what that is, but it looked interesting to me. All the botanicals that they use, though, to make the gin are sourced from Germac Company, which is in the historic Eastern Market there in Detroit, which is where their tasting room is also based out of. So this gin, I got a couple of years ago, and it took me a little while to find a really good match for it in terms of making a gin and tonic.
Okay.
But then I discovered it 2 years ago while watching the Lions lose to the Bills on Thanksgiving Day in my mom in the basement. But if this is their Railroad Gin, but it is the Oakwood Tonic from San Pellegrino, which is not an easy tonic to find, but if you can, it complements this gin very well. And then I put just a little bit of lime in the cocktail. So actually, I'll let you give that and let me know if you like this as a gin and tonic. Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, yeah. That's smooth.
Yeah.
That's smooth. Better than the other one, actually. Right now.
Yeah. It's just different. That's a good gin and tonic.
Reminds me of Christmas with it.
So, this gin comes from Detroit City Distillery. It was started by 8 childhood friends. They kind of came up with the idea to start a distillery because they wanted to start distilling whiskey. So that's kind of how they got going. But with a lot of distilleries, they want to make whiskey, but to make good whiskey, you have to let it age. So then they'll also start to make like vodka and gin because that's something they can make and start selling like right off the bat to get a cash flow going. So, so they started distilling a whiskey, and then that was followed by actually several types of gin. Then they opened a tasting room in 2014 in the Eastern Market, which is where they're still at. And what they like to make is small batch whiskey, gin, and vodka. So they have 3 whiskeys that they make, a vodka. There's 2 gins. There's this, and then, oh man, what was the other one? It's like Peacemaker or something. I need to try it. I've only actually had the Railroad Gin. And then they actually also make a rum that I saw. So, but that is
sweet.
Our second distillery, which is Detroit City Distillery. So
I love it. We're staying in the state. Like you said, we got the draft tomorrow. It's great. Now, I can tell you there's no bone in my body that would want to be in Detroit for the draft.
You would not want to be there? Because it'll be, like, you think just too crazy?
Just too many other rabid fans. I think that would I would just be like, I don't need to be around I'd rather just be home.
I am excited, though, that Detroit gets to host it this year.
Me too.
And I hope it's, like, a great time for everybody, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's good. So, another thing we have in common that I found out, like, I don't know, maybe not quite a year ago, is you also, with some friends, do a podcast.
I do. We haven't been real consistent recently, but yeah, we have, 15 episodes out there somewhere.
Now, what's that one called?
It's called Saturday at 7.
Okay.
It has no agenda, it's just 3 guys chatting it up.
So you being one of the 3.
Correct.
And then who are the other 2?
My buddy Tony and my buddy Nick. So my buddy Tony and I started going to breakfast on Saturday at 7 a.m.
Wait, where do you go? Because you bumped into my mom somewhere.
We went to LaRue's.
Is that where you go there like every Saturday?
Every Saturday, we sit in the same spot, blah, 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 the whole deal. We just, ironically enough, we were drinking one night, and the idea was like, it'd be fun to be the old guys at a restaurant someday. And we were like, let's start tomorrow. So we did. Okay. And then we always, the difference is, instead of it being like a planned thing, like it's like, oh yeah, we'll do that, and then calling and being like, are you going? It was always on.
Okay.
So it was never, we might not talk to each other all week, but you'd show up at 7 a.m. on,
and that's where
and you'd be there. And then we'd invite people, and they'd be like, "Oh, that sounds cool. What time do you go?" 7 a.m. Not a chance. Nobody would want to come. And then finally, our buddy Nick he started showing up, and then we just were having good conversations, and we thought, let's turn it into a podcast. And the first episode, we're trying to name the podcast. We didn't know what to name it, and then we came up with Saturday at 7 because that's when we
that's genius. That's how it comes up.
That's where we do it. So we don't record it during breakfast, but that's what we call it.
Yeah. So where do you guys record it then?
So I have this little in my basement.
It's at your place.
Yeah, it's at my house. Yeah, and in my basement, there's like this little secret door by the TV downstairs, and you open it, and it's just this little. It's probably half the size of this room, unfinished, and we built a table. We bought like a soundboard and microphones and video cameras and all that stuff, and.
So yours is audio and video?
Yeah, it's on Spotify and everything else. Yeah, you can watch it. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not good. It's not good. Like, we think it's fun, but we just wanted to record our conversations and have a good time. And we talk about this
operation. This is not like high class at all.
Yeah, and we have a beer fridge in there, and we have we watched a movie one time during the whole podcast.
And was it you guys like recording? You guys like reacting to the movie?
Yeah.
So it was sort of like
it was.
What was that show that used to be on Mystery Science Theater? You ever watch that?
Yes. So kind of like that, but it was. I mean, we talk about everything from.
So are these a couple guys you like grew up with, or how do you know these guys?
I've known Tony since high school, one of my best friends, and then Nick. I knew a little bit. He actually lived in my old neighborhood, and then. We connected after through a mutual friend and just kind of whatever. And over the last couple of years, we've all been hanging out, and we have a podcast that, who doesn't have a podcast these days?
I know,
right? If you don't,
right? It's like, what are you doing?
For the 4 people listening, there's only 2 that listen to my podcast, so get a podcast. Everybody's got one. It's funny. So
it is sort of funny, like, I mean, literally, like, sort of how easy it is to, like, do one if you want. Like, it's a pretty low investment.
Mm-hmm. We found a program that meshes the audio and video, and it's free.
Oh, nice.
But Tony has it on his computer. I don't even know what it's called, but because he just hooks up his computer and then.
Is he sort of your engineering department? He's the engineering department,
which is part of the reason why probably we're not doing as much. He's like, somebody else needs to step up and do something. I'm like, Nick. How about you? I host.
You're like, I got the place.
I host.
I have the studio.
Yeah. So the one day, Tony shows up with lumber in his back of his truck. Before we park, he goes, come on outside. We built a table. We built like a bar height table.
Okay.
In 40 minutes. And so there's a table in there, and yeah.
Nice.
Our camera stands are our microphone boxes that the microphones came in, because we're like you said, look at this operation, we're not high tech at all. So
the video. So if someone's gonna watch the video portion, like they could catch the video portion on Spotify, or do they have to go out to like YouTube or something like that?
Nope, it's not. Nothing go on Spotify and watch it.
And Spotify has the video ones too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I've got more of a face for radio, so I'm just sticking with the audio. So
believe me, I don't have a face for either one. But anyway, it's fun. We just haven't, life gets busy, so we just haven't recorded in a while. But
are you guys thinking about continuing it? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. We used to record on Thursdays. Now there's golf, so it's kind of like we all have kids, and so it's just kind of trying to balance it in.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
So, the company you used to work at back in the day, your partners were over on the east side. Have you ever been to either of these 2 distilleries? How did you end up getting the stuff from the first distillery at Valentine's?
So, there's a local liquor store that this guy always has good bourbon.
Wait, local in
Kalamazoo. Yeah.
Which one?
It's called Texas Mart. So it's right by your mom's place a little bit. It's on kind of by Chad's, and it's on 9th Street and what is it? N Avenue, right on the corner.
It's on 9th Street and N Avenue.
Yeah, right on the corner by the Taco Bell. It used to be an auto parts place. It's across from the Arby's.
Okay.
I'd
have to look.
Anyway, Near the highway. So that guy
Okay.
always posts, like, he'll post on Facebook, hey, got this small batch, whatever.
Oh,
here's how much
I'm
it
sorry,
is.
by your brothers. I know what you're talking about.
Correct.
Sorry. Yes, I've been there. I know what you're talking about now.
Yes.
Sorry. Okay.
So he'll post stuff on Facebook,
Okay.
good deals, and people will go, reserve me one. He'll reserve them for you, and then you just can go in and pick it up. But he had this deal, and a guy that I worked with, a colleague that was a rep for a vendor of ours, he was a bourbon guy. So he told me, he goes, hey, they have a deal. He's like, over at Texas Mart, they have a deal that it's a pretty good buy. I want to say it was $120 or something. I don't remember how much it was.
But you got 4 bottles of booze out of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was the 2 bourbons, the like 6 or 7 year Mayor Pingree, the regular one, and then this gin that we had tonight, and a vodka. So I was like, all right.
Yeah, no, I went there looking a couple of years ago, and I can't remember what it was. It was a beer from Bell's. It was one of their stouts, and sure enough, like, that guy had it.
Yeah.
And I was able to, like, and it was the only place I had found
Yeah,
that had it. So, yeah, every
he's
now and then.
pretty smart, because that corner is a little bit tough to get in and out of, because you can only go in one way and out one way. The location's great, but because of that,
Yeah.
and the parking lot being small, but he has such a following on Facebook with the stuff that he posts that I don't think he has any problem
Yeah.
keeping the doors open or anything. I think he does pretty well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, at first I was thinking about, there's another place I've been to before, but it was more in Texas Corners.
Okay.
Down there. But I was going there to get some, like, tonic, because we were running out of
Sure.
Mom's one time, and
Yeah, there's a
I've
liquor
become
store there.
definitely like a tonic
Was
snob.
it in that newer strip mall?
It's like a little bit newer,
Yep.
but they've got like a decent selection of gin and a pretty good selection of tonic, and
Yeah.
so
yeah,
I was able to,
that's a decent liquor store. It's in a
Yeah.
good spot too, because there's a lot of neighborhoods and stuff.
yeah, and there's like some brewery down there that I've not tried, but
Texas Corners Brewing.
maybe it's just south of like KVCC there, right?
Yeah,
Yep. So we're talking about the same plot.
Yeah.
Have you been to that place?
Texas Corners Brewing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it good?
A classmate of mine owns it. Now, I wasn't good friends with him at all, but good guy. But they own the Schultz's farm, which is in Mattawan, and then they started brewing beer with some of their fruit and all this stuff, and then they bought the restaurant.
Nice.
Yeah, so
I was.
it's good food, and they have live music out in the back during the summer and stuff. It's a cool place.
I did a. Lack of a better term, like a boys' night away last Friday. We went down to Kalamazoo.
Okay.
It was me and actually 4 of my former guests on here. Andy, Drew, aka Drew, his brother Adam, my brother-in-law Scott, our buddy Dave. And we went down, we ended up staying at my mom's, and then, because she was in Chicago with Lori and Amy and the girls, and we went and checked out a couple of the breweries in Kalamazoo.
Nice.
So we went to Wax Wings. Have you tried that? It's out on...
No.
It's good.
Really?
Yeah, if you like beer, man, they've got good beer.
Huh.
It's out on East Main.
Okay.
And then we went to this new brewery sort of downtown called Brewery, I think it's Outre. It's like Outre.
I've seen it. I have not been there.
Yeah. We went there. We were only there for beer because it was like an open mic night.
Okay.
And I think they were trying to do comedy. No one that I heard was funny, and it was just, we weren't there that long.
So.
And then, of course, we went to Bell's and the Eccentric Cafe because
Yep.
it's Kalamazoo. And,
Yeah, you
gotta go.
Yeah.
Go
Yep.
support. So.
Absolutely.
All right. Are you ready for second round of trivia?
Yeah.
Okay.
I get to ask the question.
You get
this
to ask
time.
the question. Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. You ready?
Sure.
All right. So, Sipsmith is a popular micro distillery in London.
Okay.
From which country do they obtain their juniper berries? Now, I can give you, there are 3 choices.
Oh, there are. Okay, good. Because I've
want-
actually had this gin before. But
Do you want me to give you the choices?
yeah, for sure.
Okay. Macedonia, Mexico, or Morocco?
It is definitely not Mexico. Oh, man, is it Morocco or is it Macedonia? Oh, I'm going to be so mad if I get this wrong. But I'm actually just guessing. I have had their gin. It's another really interesting gin that's hard to find or at least for me, it was hard to find a good tonic to go with it. And what did I end up doing with that one? I ended up...
It amazes me that you have the, like, that's the palette
it is. My palette
curated.
is... No, but it is... Yeah, but I do try to find something. And I ended up going with you put orange in it, and actually I think it's this tonic, actually.
Okay.
Wait, or is it this one, or is it, or maybe it's maybe it's their citrus tonic also from San Pellegrino. But anyhow, I will guess Macedonia.
You are correct.
Oh, I got lucky.
You got it.
All right.
Hey, at least you end the box on a winner.
Yes.
Let's go.
Good point.
Yeah.
All right. That was good. Okay. Before we get into Off the Beaten Path, anything else that you wanted to chat about? Or
I don't think so.
All right.
I think we've woven in some good stuff here.
All right. We had talked about it, and I will go first for Off the Beaten Path.
All right.
And since I am a creature of habit, I tried to go with something that was sort of Detroit themed.
Okay.
And I've done like 4 movies in a row to start off this season. So I'm like, okay, you can't do a movie.
Okay.
And then I was looking at like TV series, but then I was like, oh wait, a book. So my Off the Beaten Path topic for this is a book called Rivethead, Tales from the Assembly Line.
Interesting.
So it's a book that came out in 1991. I didn't read it until probably the mid to late 90s. Actually, Jim is the one who told me about this. So The book is written by Ben Hamper, and it's like a memoir of his. So it ends up he is a 3rd generation. He calls himself a shop rat.
Okay.
Working at a GM plant in Flint. So his desire growing up was to not go do what his dad did, his aunts, and all. Like, he didn't want to follow in their footsteps. But life didn't go that way, and he ends up going in there. And so the book is about him, like, working in this plant for GM in Flint, and it just has some like crazy stories in there.
Well, I can imagine.
So one is called like Double Up. So basically what you would do is like you and a buddy are working, and you would be like, hey, can we double up tonight? So that would mean you would do both of our jobs, and I would just leave and go do something else. And so they would do this stuff. So like when it was his night off from Double Up night, he would like go write, or he would like go hang out at the bar or whatever. And his buddy did both the jobs and then just would like clock out for him and everything. Yeah. So,
and then he'd have to return the favor at some point.
Exactly. Yeah. So it was quid pro quo as they say. Or they would talk about like, you know, there would be like mice out in the plant, and they would like feed them Cheetos, and like these mice were sort of like pets for them.
Oh my god.
And then at one point GM was trying this big push, you know, to focus on quality, because this is like, you know, this came out in 91, so he's working probably like in the 80s, you know, he probably starts in the 70s, in the 80s. This is when the Detroit automakers are just starting to get hammered in terms of like quality, right? Because they're getting a lot of pressure from imports and stuff like that. So there's a big focus on quality. So GM comes out with this mascot for the assembly line workers to focus on quality. And it is a guy in just a giant cat costume. And the cat's name is How We Make 'Em, standing for How We Make Them. And he wears like a cape that has like a big Q on it, and will like go out and visit the plants. Yeah, and it's to like get people to like focus on quality and stuff. And anyhow, this book has just,
oh my gosh,
yeah, like all these just like super interesting stories. And it's I think it is a, you know, it is a book that would reinforce a lot of like stereotypes about what people think about how things were on the assembly lines. I don't think as much nowadays, but certainly like back then.
Yeah.
But he's he just sort of got into like writing, and he ended up, if I remember correctly, somehow getting in touch with Michael Moore, who's the guy who does the documentaries, those films from Michigan, also from Flint.
Yeah.
And I want to say for like a bit, Michael Moore was like a editor or something with Mother Jones, which is just this kind of like magazine. But he like somehow he read something this guy wrote, and he sort of like encouraged him to start writing more.
Oh, gotcha.
And that ends up like turning into like this memoir. So anyhow, it is like a little taste of what it was like to work like in
for real
GM plants back in like the 70s and 80s, and sort of
interesting
how crazy it was. So anyhow, Rivet Head, that's the name of the book.
So did you read that recently?
Not recently. I had read this back in, it came out in 91, and then Jim read it, told me about it, loaned me I think his copy because I don't have one in my library. So I bet I read it in like the mid to late 90s.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
But
wow. Okay. Well, I'm not a reader.
No, that's okay. You don't have to be.
So, I mean, I am when it comes to like business stuff and things like that. I try to get little tidbits to try to, that's kind of where my world is. So, but this is kind of off the beaten path,
perfect,
if you will. And it's kind of a hot-ish topic on a lot of podcasts and this sort of thing right now over the last couple years. But this is, if nobody's actually seen this series on Netflix, and many people probably have, some people maybe haven't. It's just for me, and I haven't named it yet, but it makes you think.
Okay.
So I like things that make me think and challenge maybe what the norm is. Whether they're true or not, I don't know. And, whatever. So I don't know if you've heard of Ancient Apocalypse.
Ancient Apocalypse?
Yes, it's a series. So this British, I don't even know what his title would be. This guy, his name's Graham Hancock. And
wait, he's like an author and historian or something?
Yes. And his theory is, I think it's called like pseudo-archaeology. And his theory is that like there's all these old structures, i.e. the pyramids. And I think it's called Göbekli Tepe or something like that. I think it's in Turkey. And these old ruins that are like, how did they do this? Like, how did these things come about? And how are they so aligned, like, with the astrology and all of these other things? And the pyramids, like, it doesn't make sense that it was just done by manual labor. These stones are huge. And, like, so his theory is that there was an advanced civilization at some point at the end of the Ice Age that was then wiped out cataclysmically. And then humanity kind of had to start over thousands and thousands of years ago. Now, there's no proof of this, but recently he was on Joe Rogan with an archaeologist, and they debated, and of course the archaeologist is like, I can't prove that it's not true necessarily, but all the proof we have doesn't point to that. So, but it makes you think, how did they build these things? Why did they build these things? Why are all these structures all over the world? Why were there pyramids everywhere? Did they know something that we maybe don't know back then? And so he really makes you question, like, what happened? What are these built for? How were they built? What was going on back then? And he goes to all these different sites all over the world. So it's a whole series that's 8 or 10 episodes. Or like
and this is on Netflix?
Yeah.
Okay, and what was it called again?
Ancient Apocalypse.
Ancient Apocalypse, okay.
Yep, and the guy's name is Graham Hancock, and he's been on Rogan a few times. If you listen to the Rogan podcast, he was literally just on it a few days ago.
Oh, okay.
Which kind of spurred my thing. I have an hour drive, so I listen to these things, but it makes you wonder, like, I don't know. Some of the stuff he's saying is like,
well, one of the things I have to say I find interesting is in a bunch of like ancient ruins or things of that nature, like they can often like look at them and then find some tie to like astronomy, like the way it's set up.
Yeah.
When you hit like summer equinox or fall equinox, something
Yes.
or summer solstice or fall equinox.
Exactly.
Like, boom, it lights it up a certain way.
Yeah.
That it's just like,
Well, that's the
how
one
would they, like,
in
know?
Ohio. There's one in Ohio that he goes to in this episode. And it's the same thing. Where the summer solstice.
yeah, and it's like, how do they grasp that in what we would consider, like, they may not have had access to a bunch of that, or I mean, some of this may have been before like mathematics even became like super sophisticated and things of that nature. So,
but even things like with the pyramids, all the mystery around what they were for, what they're built for. Are they really tombs? Were they, like, some people's theory on the pyramids is that they were beacons of like electricity or whatever. Like, there's all sorts of crazy stuff.
Yes.
Do I know what to believe? But sometimes when they make their argument for something that I'm like, it doesn't make any sense, you're like, I don't know. Like, maybe, like, the limestone on the pyramids, they say, is from like 500 miles away or something that they capped it with.
yeah. So how would they get it there?
How did it happen?
Yeah.
It makes you. Do I know that any of these theories are true? Absolutely not. But I love that the fascination of it could be, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. No.
So,
honestly, one of the things I sort of hope for, not that it may happen, but like when I cash in my chips and I'm done and I die, I want. This is what really happened.
Yeah.
Here's who built the pyramids. Here's who shot Kennedy.
Yeah.
I want to know, like, here's what really happened, blah, blah, blah. Like, for me, that would be like, oh, gotcha. Okay.
There's so
I'm like, what are you talking about?
Right.
So.
Well, and it goes into you start talking about, UFOs are a big hot topic now, and all these, a lot of people are talking about all this, that, whatever. Who knows? Whether they're real or not, I have no idea.
No, but the government talks about them way more than they ever did when I was growing up.
Correct.
And now they're just like, yeah, there's some stuff, well, we're not really sure exactly what it is.
Yeah, I don't trust anything the government says anymore. It's like, what is going on? Yeah, who shot Kennedy, right? I mean, you can go down all these rabbit holes, but that one, Ancient Apocalypse, it's a fascinating think of all of these different structures. Like the one in Turkey, his theory is they clearly knew something was going to happen, and they buried it themselves with stones. The way that it's buried, he's saying they did it on purpose for some reason. Can't figure it out. All this stuff, all these like megalithic structures how did they get this stone ball up there? How did they build, like, if they didn't have some sort of something? So that's his theory.
That's his theory.
It's kind of wild, but
so it's on Netflix.
Correct.
And it's called Ancient Apocalypse.
You got it.
And it's 8-10 episodes.
8 or 10 episodes. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So there you go.
Well, thanks a bunch.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
It was fun.
Hopefully we'll have something to celebrate with the Lions draft tomorrow and through the weekend. And we'll go from there. So
love it.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, and we will catch you next time. Thanks for joining us. Feel free to subscribe to us on whichever platform you listen to your podcasts. Also, I want to take a quick minute to thank Darin VanderMolen for all of his help behind the scenes. Without him, this podcast probably wouldn't even exist, and his help is greatly appreciated. Hope you have a great week, and we will look forward to seeing you the next time we go down the botanical trails. This has been a Shits and Giggles production.